You know how everyone's been on a Claude kick lately? I decided to use Claude to find a restaurant to review for you. Join us for a new to me restaurant to review. And then we're off to the races. Do you want to take a guess which West Coast town we are featuring today? Put a comment down below if you recognize the road and if you can guess which town we are going to.
Abby and I are in the vehicle. We are having a little date night today. As usual, my mom took the kiddies, so we have the evening free. We are trying a spot that's new to us. The spot has been open for quite some time, it seems, and we've just never heard about it. But I found out about the place from AI, so I'm gonna check the place out and do a review for you as usual, with all of the usual areas that I normally review.
Okay, let's go down my usual list. So for the venue, I give it a 2 out of 3. On the beach, it seems beautiful view. And the sun was busy setting, so we could still see the beautiful ocean front and the sound of the waves in the restaurant. It is so beautiful. On the beach. On that side, on the opposite side, there's St. Helena Bay and the Cove and Stompness Bay. It's all on that side. So for venue, it is a 2 out of 3. With regards to booking front of house staff, my husband made a booking for us. When we arrived at the restaurant, there was no one at the reception area. We waited for less than a minute and the lady came out and she seated us immediately. She knew who we were and she just took us to our table. So for the smoothness of the process, a 2.5 out of 3. For the menu is not very wide. They've got pizzas and then they have fish and meat on the menu, if I remember correctly. So it's not varied, but there should be something for anyone. Come to think of it, I cannot remember now if they do have a vegetarian option or vegetarian options available. But for the menu, I think I'll give it a 2 out of 3. As I mentioned, the menu is not very varied. But when the waiter came over to us to tell us about the special of the day, he mentioned that there was some fresh fish. I think he mentioned yellowtail on the menu. And I asked him how they prepare the fish, and he mentioned that they grill the fish. So I asked him, do they grill it with some flour? And he immediately knew what I was referring to. He mentioned that one of their regular customers, that they also have a problem with wheat, so they know how to prepare fish without wheat for that specific customer. So when I asked him, he said no, they know what to do and they know how to keep the stuff separate. So that was a nice feeling. Another restaurant in the West Coast that actually knew what I was referring to when I said I was wheat intolerant. For the evening, I did not order the fish though. I went with a steak and my hubby went for a burger. So, that's the other thing. They have quite a few burger options on the menu. So hubby had a burger and I had a steak and chips. For the free from options, I think I'll give them, because they don't have anything listed specifically, but as I mentioned in some of my previous videos, you as someone with an intolerance or an allergy, you should know what is safe for you. Normally, obviously the restaurants can prepare things differently, but you should know. For example, I know if I stick to a steak and chips, it's generally safe. It could be the sauces on the meat that's an issue, so I asked them to not put any sauce on my meat. And then it could also be the spices that they add to the chips. So I asked for no sauces on my meat and then just plain salt on my chips. So because there weren't any free from options listed specifically, I would give them a 1.5. But because they knew what I was referring to, that's why I'm not giving them a 1. That is why I'm giving them a 1.5 in this instance, because they did know what I was referring to when I mentioned the free from options or the gluten-free or the wheat intolerance. So for that, I give them a 1.5. For the wait staff, as I mentioned, my waiter was very knowledgeable. He was very friendly. He was very attentive. So for the wait staff, I give them a 2.5. With regards to the food was absolutely delicious. My steak, it was so soft. If you've been watching my videos for a little while, you know that I normally joke that whenever I go to a restaurant and I order my steak, I always tell them it must be well done. And if you go to these fancy places, they're always upset when you say that you want your meat well done, as usual. Oh, what I must maybe add is that the waiter told me that normally restaurants, they age their meat for 3 weeks, but that at their establishment they age it for 4 weeks, so it gives an added flavor, it gives an added tenderness to the meat. I can attest, so my meat was well done as I requested, and it did give it added flavor and it did give it added tenderness. It was quite delicious. So also the portion sizes are very generous. I struggle to finish my food. Hubby, on the other hand, is smashing it. And I cut quite a big piece of my steak. I cut off and I shared it with my hubby. So food is delicious. Portion sizes are huge. So for the food, I give it a 2.5 out of 3. The cocktail and the wine list was quite varied. There were many options available. On the evening, I wanted to try the pina colada, but in the end I settled for a gin and tonic. So they get their gin and tonic from a place, I think he said Robertson, one of those towns in the Boland. I'm not absolutely sure now. So yes, I tried the gin and the tonic that they've got, and I did not get to order any cocktails. What they also have on the menu is, ever since I've been a teen, I have liked having Dom Pedro's, and my dad and I would usually take a Dom Pedro.
Let's do a taste test. It's very creamy.
So on the evening, I ordered the Dom Pedro, and where they normally give Dom Pedros in wine glasses, this establishment gave it in a tumbler type of glass, so it was quite a lot. So hubby and I shared a Dom Pedro as dessert for the evening. So for the cocktail, and then they've also quite an extensive wine list, a wide variety of wines on the menu. So for the menu and the wines, I give them a 2.5 out of 3. With regards to the costs, I think it came up to, in the 500 Rand for the two of us. So we had, like I mentioned, hubby had the burger and chips, I had a steak and chips. Then he had 2 beers for the evening, I had 1 gin and tonic, and then we shared the Dom Pedro. So I think all in all, for all of that, for round about the 500, I think that's quite a good price and it's quite reasonable. So I do think I want to go and take the kiddies with us there, because there's all of these burgers and there's pizzas on the menu. I think they'll enjoy it, and especially with the setting, it being on the beach, especially in summertime. So for costs, I also give them a 2.5 out of 3. Let's tally up the score. Let's see where they end up. Before I share my rating with you, I will leave some links to my other review videos down in the description box. And I'll link my playlist at the end of this video. If I made my sums correctly, they end up at 18 out of 24. I think the score that I'm giving them does not do them justice, to be quite honest. All in all, I loved the venue, I loved the food, I loved the setting, I loved the ambience, and I would definitely go back there. So Claude AI, not too shabby on this choice of restaurant. With regards to the Claude AI, so as I mentioned earlier in the video, I asked Claude for some recommendations, and first up Claude came up with the Strandloper in Langebaan. Because it's winter, I did not want to go to Strandloper, number one. Number two, when I checked, they were fully booked, so that was out of the question. I asked Claude for a second option, and then Claude recommended La Petite Maison. So I reviewed that one last year for you guys, so I did not want to go to La Petite Maison again. Then Claude mentioned that I must do Wolfgat in Paternoster. Wolfgat, fully booked as well. Oh, before I asked Claude for, after Strandloper, for a second recommendation, I told Claude it's winter in South Africa, so I want something a little bit more cozy. So that's when it came up with La Petite Maison again. And then it came up with Watergat in Paternoster. Watergat was also fully booked. And then after those two recommendations, it came up with Zeezicht in Laaiplek. So that is how we ended up where we ended up. It's got a thumbs up from me.
Okay, we are a little bit lost. We ended up in the harbour area. We took a wrong turn somewhere, somehow. And now we are trying to find our way back to Vredenburg. Because we didn't want to use the GPS. Use the GPS, folks.